Since childhood, Zakhran Mamdani hung out with Bill Clinton, for example, yes, with Gates, with Bezos, with Epstein. In the photo that you saw in the video thumbnail, there's this strange picture. Usually you don't take pictures like that with your summer house neighbor. There's this one where Zakhran's mom's friends are, by the way, interesting friends. So Clinton is in Epstein's arms, Bezos, Bill Gates, again Clinton, Epstein, little Zakhran, and his mom Mira Nair. Do you know who's not in these photos? Well, take a guess. You got it in 3 tries, ladies and gentlemen. Completely missing is Mahmoud Mamdani. Well, I mean, like my father. A Marxist, anti-colonialist, anti-American, anti-capitalist, basically a sort of Mao Zedong Trotsky type, quietly hating, well, everything. Why did we come to America? He's not in any of those photos, at least not in any that I've seen. Mama Mira is having fun with a group of rich capitalists. I'm afraid, and oh, the horror, the shame of the Jews. On Mamdani's website, it says that he fought for the working class, but it's not very clear, and it's unclear who he fought against. Maybe with Bezos and Gates, we'll make life in New York affordable. Well, on that website, you really can't find out how Zakhran plans to fulfill his crazy promises. That's the first thing. Mamdani participated in a hunger strike together with the taxi drivers. Ladies and gentlemen, give me an example of a single hunger strike in human history that has changed anything in the way the world is organized. It helps you lose weight? Yes, that's true. Sometimes it restores health. Illnesses disappear. They say if you don't eat for a long time, ulcers can be cured. I've never changed anything in the social system. But why? Why did Mamdani have to starve? And in general, why did the taxi drivers go on hunger strike? And I'm being serious here, yes, so that their $450 million in debts would be written off, the debts they accumulated. They used some money, somehow squandered it, did something with it so that it disappeared and didn't bring any results. But they demand that someone who didn't use that money should pay off the debt for them, with interest, of course. By the way, neither on the website nor in other documents and sources, well, except for the 3.5 million pages of the Epstein case, there's nothing about Mamdani, nothing about his level of financial well-being, about his income, about his assets, about income registered to his parents, about assets registered to his parents. Where did his connections with Clinton, Bezos, and Gates go? Here, the last mention of their meeting was at a party in 2009. Then everything was removed, so maybe it never happened, or maybe it was just erased. After the screening of Mira's film, his mother, the director, and of course Epstein, Jeff Bezos, Bill Clinton, again without Hillary for some reason, so Madam Mira's mother without Mahmoud. Yes, the party was in the penthouse at Nebazazirka's, honestly Ghislaine Maxwell, and after the film screening only the close ones stayed. In other words, the ones mentioned above, they were the close ones. Richard Gere starred in Mira's film, but he wasn't invited to the party. He didn't seem to be close, but Arkady Rotenberg turned out to be close and said that he agreed to buy all of Epstein's files. This was reported by Elizaveta Chaika, who said she offered $10 billion, not rubles, dollars. According to rumors, Arkady, one of Putin's wallets, is said to be living in America, and Putin is mentioned in Epstein's files. Somewhere, well, Chaika says about 900 times, and Rotenberg decided to help his friend. It's unclear which friend he means. Jeffrey the pedophile or Barkovka the crafty one. By the way, personally, I don't know the details about seducing girls, but so far everything I hear fits into the following picture model scenario. Girls who have reached, well, according to Jewish tradition, the age of childbearing after their first menstruation, which is around 13 years old. And so, for centuries, girls at this age who entered into marriage and sexual relations were enticed by money. Right now, I'm talking about girls of our time, by connections or by the social scene. And they calmly did what their friends did in the back seat of a car with classmates or with older students, if you like. But these girls, the ones with Epstein, did the same thing. All this was done comfortably, and I enjoyed being there. I'm not sure how else to say it. In beautiful houses, eating delicious food in their youth, drinking fine champagne that no one would have given them, except maybe beer. No one would have given them anything else at all. By the way, listening to interesting conversations and taking away fascinating memories for a lifetime. Of course, if there was violence, then that's a crime. But so far, all I've heard is that the young and delicate were lining up and shouting, me, I'm first, I came earlier, and so on. And they were very upset when they were told that they were too old and would no longer participate in the games. Some of them later made a great deal of money, an amazing amount, just by putting on such a tragic face. And accordingly, they milked the powerful of this world, turning their strength into weakness, and naturally their own weakness into strength. That's just my opinion. It doesn't have to match yours or anyone else's. I'm not pushing it on anyone. As they say, I just shared what I think about it once again. Again, as long as there was no violence, deception, or anything else like that which wasn't explained to them from the very beginning. So here's the opinion of my Los Angeles neighbor, Tanya Tatarinova. On Facebook, Tanya introduced herself as someone observing the reality of the zoo. On my channel, I said I comment on the global mess. On a more official website, she is listed as chair in computational biology, meaning she's a mathematics professor working in the field of biology. She had an interesting comment about the new 3 million pages of files related to Epstein. I don't think she'll mind if I read it out just as she wrote it, maybe leaving out 1, 2, 3, at most 4 words for a reason. I'll speak with Tanya separately, so the letter, or rather the comment, is hers. I don't really understand the fuss about the Epstein files either. It's hardly a scientific discovery. High testosterone males and various narcissists in power who are sick love to wave their private parts around and try to stick them everywhere. And they don't care about any religious or moral stuff. These restraints, from their point of view, are just a leash for the common people. They think they've got everything under control. Both ordinary judges and the powerful enjoy spending time privately in exclusive clubs. They give positions to their ladies, which is absolutely right. Smaller diamonds, houses, and yachts, getting all sorts of amusing ailments for it. Ailments meaning illnesses, just so no one gets it wrong. But really, nothing new. It's all from the letter. Only the rotation of power can guarantee the functioning of the Reputational Risk Institute. Well, a professor working in computational biology in America, it kind of works, but then again, it kind of doesn't. Since the changing individuals represent a limited number of people from certain clans, there is rotation only for outsiders, and a big fortune is. But she means a big fortune is a ticket into the clan club. So clans have turnover, but labor selection follows its own rules. That's right, Tanya, it's a bit complex, but well explained. And the Kremlin's hand is also news from the last century. Kremlin whores, damn it, that's Tanya. Wrote this while working for the KGB. Tanya has already changed. Now she's changed to the Federal Security Service again. Now even collecting compromat has made it into the textbooks. During sinful pleasures, people relaxing on a warm island is actually a common thing. It disgusts me. Why? Honestly, it's not surprising. Primates, after all. I just hope that pedophiles get what they deserve for the suffering of their victims. Well, if you really are a victim, that's it. There was also the following reaction to Epstein's files on the internet. but I couldn't find out who wrote it. Please excuse me and let's keep it anonymous for now. If I find the name, I'll add it. So it starts like this. Now a decent person can't even have sex safely. Here they'll leak it. There you'll get infected. In my opinion, it's the same topic, just a new perspective. The latest leak from Epstein's archives shows that Bill Gates contracted a sexually transmitted disease from Russian girls. I left the Soviet Union so early. Gentlemen, I don't know what a sexually transmitted disease is. He begged Epstein Gates to give him antibiotics so he could secretly pass them to his now ex-wife Melinda Gates. And he also sent Epstein a description of his genitals. That's news to me. Recently declassified documents from Jeffrey's archives exposed Bill Gates instead of Donald Trump. According to an email from July 2013, Gates allegedly begged to find antibiotics to give to Melinda Gates after he contracted a sexually transmitted disease from Russian girls, that is, well, more than one, as I understand it. The email was personally written by Epstein as a reminder of a quarrel with Gates. The email was personally written by Epstein as a reminder of a quarrel with Gates. Well, that is, they're talking about a quarrel with Gates. Okay, fine. In it, Gates begs Epstein to delete compromising messages, including one with a detailed description of Gates's genitalia that's desperately hiding the truth. The email is part of 3 million pages of documents. Well, I haven't looked through all of them, of course, as you can imagine, so I can't say whether there are any related to Epstein that have been published. Melinda, who divorced Bill in 2021, stated that Epstein did play a role in their divorce. She said that she only met him in person once, and I regretted it, she said. From the moment I walked through the door, he was disgusting, kind of the embodiment of evil after that, she said. Epstein appeared in my nightmares. I considered quitting everything, but it felt wrong, even though he kept appearing in my dreams. There was also something else, but we won't read it now. In the email, Epstein expressed his rage about the alleged breakup with Gates. He accused his friend of ingratitude after many years of facilitating his illegal affairs, meaning Epstein helped Gates with stories involving illegal affairs. Well, there were Russian girls there, or maybe besides Russians, there were also some other African girls, or Vietnamese girls, I don't know, and others as well. Yeah, well, the rich have their own entertainments, as it says in these writings, she wrote. I mean, an unknown author to me, accordingly, yes, so nameless. So I'm looking, maybe there's a name here. No, there's not, there's no name. Yes, so yes, the rich have their own entertainments. This is already the end of the letter. Yachts, Epstein Island, Russian girls, well, not necessarily Russian, don't brag about your possessions. And syphilis, how could it be without it? Exclamation mark. And they didn't dig up anything on Trump. It's a pity for the compatriots. They were hoping so much. Exclamation mark. I absolutely agree with the above statement. Russian models, then, were also described by Annetta Epstein, who, it seems, is not related to Jeffrey. She called this comment of hers a trap for a Russian model. I was immediately intrigued by the title. I think if someone came up with such a beautiful title, then there must be something interesting inside. Here is the story as she tells it. The Russian model Ruslana Korshunova visited Epstein's Island when she was 18 years old. She had every right to do so. 2 years later, at 20, she jumped from the 9th floor of a New York apartment. Again, she had every right, as long as she didn't hurt anyone on the way down. Korshunova, who was often called the Russian Rapunzel, do you remember the cartoon with the long hair? And because of her amazingly long hair, writes Annetta, she was noticed as a teenager and instantly became famous. At 15, she quickly climbed the career ladder, working with designers Marc Jacobs, Donna Karan New York, and Vera Wang. And so this is not about perfume. Classified in early 2024, court documents showed that on June 7, 2006, 18-year-old Korshunova boarded Epstein's Lolita Express, which then flew to Little St. James Island. This trip took place a few weeks before Epstein's first arrest. That was in July 2006, on charges related to involving minors in prostitution. On June 28, 2008, almost exactly 2 years after the trip to the island, Tatarinova committed suicide in Manhattan's financial district. She was just a few days away from her 21st birthday. The authorities ruled it a suicide, stating that she had cut through the construction netting on the balcony. She wasn't drunk before the jump, and inside her apartment. There were no signs of violent death or struggle. Okay, no suicide note was found. Witnesses described how her body fell far from the building. Maybe greed was her downfall, but what about Zakhran? Let's get back to our favorite, our hero, our guiding light. He's got some problems, really tiny ones. Here are all those leftists who voted for him, who cried with happiness, sobbing that they finally elected a communist, and now all the rich will be robbed, and they'll be given what they can't earn themselves, but really want. Suddenly, they discovered that Zakhran is not who he claimed to be, and that he's lying to them, not by accident, but deliberately and specifically lying. And again, not just one or two things, but everything he ever discussed. He just lied, counting on fools, and he found a huge number of complete, utter fools. Here's how they react when it turns out they've been fooled again. I'm replacing the word fooled sound.
Music playing and music playing.
Well, of course he lied to you, you bastards, you stinky jerks. And there's that rich son of a bitch who will say and do absolutely anything to get power. Well, naturally, with power comes money, fame, honor, respect, I would even say worship. And the opportunity to completely turn into, well, you know. Mandry's imagination really ran wild after that. You can't turn into the President of the United States because, well, he made a mistake and said he was born abroad. He could have, like Obama, who planned everything a couple of steps ahead, destroyed all the evidence. Well, the guys who covered for him destroyed all the evidence that he was born abroad and claimed that he was born in Hawaii. They found some dubious piece of paper written by who knows whom, saying who knows what, but confirming it from the perspective of the Democratic Party only, and all the other fools who focus on skin color instead of plans, ideas, and experience. That was plenty for them. Hooray, and they nearly ruined America. Well, thank God, almost, so that Zakhran can reach the Secretary General of the Lunch Organization. There he will preach cannibalism, while he himself will be eating tiramisu and Waldschneppel. But of course, he will be preaching cannibalism. And first, let's eat all the white people, and then, well, he won't live to see the moment when all the white people are eaten. That's why you can say anything you want. Well, that's why they're shouting, shame on you, shame, shame.
Shame, shame.
The first lie was the CRB that's just a disgrace. It's just a disgrace.
And for him, shame is like constipation for an elephant. I just made up this proverb and sang myself. They'll shout and leave, shame. He became mayor of the world's largest city. He lied, shouted, made promises, and now get out of here, idiots. No one will let you get any closer than the bars, the fence, the barrier. Maybe he's Epstein's son, or perhaps the son of Epstein, Gates, Bezos, and others all at once. That's not the point. The real issue is this person doesn't understand anything. He was born with a silver or even golden spoon in his mouth. And now, just like Obama, without feeling anything except contempt and probably fear of being exposed, he will take revenge on everyone for having to lie, twist the truth, smile, and play along. The commoner continues. I really hope, that this story with Mamdani will at least teach this generation that not everything that calls itself priceless is actually gold. I really hope that Mamdani and a couple of his friends will teach young Americans that free cheese really does exist, and that a huge number of freeloaders want to take away from you what you receive for free from your parents, from those who created, built, and developed this country, which from scratch became the richest, most comfortable, and most honest country in the world. You thought it was free, but now you'll see otherwise. After Obama, after Zakhran, Mamdani, Ocasio-Cortez, after the Somalis, after the Armenians, after the Venezuelans, after the astonishing example with the impotent one, with Zakhran. So you want back the great country you used to live in, but at the same time you don't want to do anything for it? Here you want to vote, and you'll be given everything. Here you go, you'll get it now. If you don't understand that you have to fight for this, work, I would even say, work hard, then, ladies and gentlemen, that's where your great America will end. I won't be there either. Long live the great United States of America, a country that has allowed a huge number of people to live an amazing life, and which, because it is wealthy, everyone who can tries to rob. Some people succeed, but only for a while, only for a while.